Welcome to the Soul Happy Success Show. Coach Rebecca here, and today we're talking the 3 hacks to conquering business overwhelm. The struggle is real, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to make it past hack 1 and get to hack 3 where all the juice is, because this one will be confrontational. It is a 3-step system, and the first one, ooh, it is a doozy. So let's dive into overwhelm, because typically we lump overwhelm and burnout together. Interestingly, not really knowing what either of them mean other than I just can't anymore. I need a break. I can't take on anymore. I'm going to say I'm overwhelmed so no one will give me extra things to do. And we use it as a way to keep ourselves safe and to shield ourselves. Because if we say, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so busy, if you're saying you're busy, the next step for you is overwhelm, and then the next step is burnout. It's a progression. So if you're saying that you're busy, then no one else will give you any more responsibilities, because right now you think, I can't even handle what I have to do right now. And the problem that I always used to hit, and please, let me know, send me a DM at Soul Happy Success on either Facebook or Instagram, or drop a comment and tell me that I'm not alone in this, because the problem that I always used to hit was, when you're preaching from, experience and not theory, this is real life. It was, I needed a break, but if I took one, when I came back, I was going to be even more stressed out, because what was stressing me out before is going to be even more prominent a day later, a week later. And that means that you don't appreciate or fully rest in your break, because there's all these loose ends to be tied up. You're constantly thinking, especially as a business owner, I could be doing this, this, and this. So it's not an easy thing to get over, but there are systems that you can put in place to make it easier. Because if you think, and I know I've spoken about this before, of the 72-hour biology hack, essentially it means that either physically or emotionally, there's a 72-hour hangover effect on things that are going on. So example, you didn't sleep well or you've not been eating well, then you're going to have less energy, aka less motivation. Sorry, less, definitely not more. Unless you've had a really good snack, and then you'll definitely get motivation. Food equals hope, in my opinion. I watched a TED talk on it. So keeping with the point, there is a 72-hour effect. So if you've not slept, if you've not eaten, then you're going to struggle with that energy today. If emotionally, if something has happened, if you've been given some bad news, an unexpected bill has come in, that really takes a lot of people out of the game. Maybe a client was meant to close, you were meant to close a sale and it didn't close. For 72 hours, you're going to feel that. So if you can be mindful, oh, the reason why I have less energy today is because I didn't sleep well. Or the reason why I'm upset today is because a few days ago something really difficult happened. Then you can have more grace and more love for yourself to move forward and say, okay, well, I understand where this is coming from. It's not coming from my childhood trauma. A lot of the time we think that, I'm not a therapist, but a lot of the time we think that, oh, this is a result of, because this terrible thing happened to me, or because this really stressful thing happened to me. Maybe it wasn't related to childhood. Maybe it was when you were a teenager, maybe it was in your 20s, maybe it was a terrible relationship or a horrible job, terrible boss. These things happen to us. And if you're focusing on that and saying, oh, though there's this deeper meaning, then quite often you'll not get over it. A lot of the time, if you think about the last 72 hours, that's probably why your brain is clinging on to old belief systems that you probably have worked really hard to get over. And you're like, why has this come up again? Why is it here again? And it's just because, oh, you're a little bit more tired today. So that old belief, that inner self-talk that is at the back of your mind, that you're able to keep very silent or close to silent when you're high energy. I don't know that there's anyone that's at a Taylor Swift concert, especially right now. Oh my gosh, T Swift, you're the queen. But there's no one that's at a Taylor Swift concert that's having the worst day of their life. Like, most of those people are having the best time ever. They're not thinking about all of the drama. And maybe, because she's like the queen of breakup songs, they are thinking about a really hard breakup, but they're not doing it in a way that they are like crumbling on a puddle on the floor and going to hate the rest of the concert because this one song has come up and this one thought about a previous partner, for example, has come into their mind. So if you look at your last 72 hours, what were you doing? Because that's very reflective of how you're going to feel. It's not always 100% the answer. I totally appreciate that. But a lot of the time it could be. So maybe just like do a little check in on that. And we're going to start with hack one. So that was just like an extra bonus. That was an extra bonus, the 72-hour hack. And the reason why is because hack one is to be really honest about your schedule. So this is why most people will not complete this mission, is because you have to look at your schedule. And the reason that I gave you the 72-hour biology hack is maybe you don't have a schedule. Maybe you don't work to a schedule. Maybe you just think, I wake up, I go to work, I come home, I deal with the kids, I go to bed, I don't have a schedule. But actually, you probably do. You probably really do. And you're doing all of these things unconsciously. There are parts of my schedule that are completely unconscious. So there will definitely be parts of yours, and not for any other reason than we all have habits that are so ingrained that we just do them naturally. Have you ever like walked into a table and said sorry? Like that was something I had to really actively train myself out of doing because I was used to doing it, you know? So hack one is to look at your schedule and be honest about it. So if you don't have a schedule, think of the last 72 hours and think, what did my day go like? And this is something that my mentor is Brendan Bouchard. Myself, my husband are in his mastermind. He has an ultra mastermind, and we're really fortunate to be a part of it. And he was telling us that, his first session, no matter the accolades of the person that he's working with, his first session is always open your diary, like, let me see your schedule, like, what are you working towards? And it's to point out two things. So the first thing is distracted time. So it is unlikely when you say that you're busy all the time that you're actually busy all the time. And this is the part that can be confrontational, because I can completely remember so vividly working a 9 to 5 job, working 3 nights at a bar, and also being in university, traveling a lot for work. And I was running a business at the same time. And I still remember making time for Netflix. I still remember making time for my friends. I still remember making time for my family, and for all the mamas in the room, like, your babies do sleep. So I'm just like being really honest. And I say it with the most love. I'm not a mum, so you can refuse my information because I can't empathize. I can only sympathize. But we say that we don't have time. And the likelihood is that you do have pockets of time. You're just saying you don't have time. Your brain is saying, okay, well, we don't have time. I don't have to look at it. But if you actually looked at it, you'll see there's a lot of distracted time. And it doesn't mean that every moment of your day has to be productive. You have to be doing something. But it does mean, when you want to find that 10 minutes for your meditation, your baby maybe napped today and you could have done that, but you scrolled your brains out your phone. Or you decided that you were going to clean the house from top to bottom because you must have this pristine home, when actually you could have taken 5 minutes for yourself. So we say that we don't have time, but time is an illusion. And everyone does have the same amount of time. Not everyone has the same confines on their time. I appreciate that. But there's always time that you can find when something is important. I've heard this analogy before, that if your washing machine broke down, and you had to go and run out to work, you would still call someone to fix the washing machine, and you'd probably call into work and say, hey, my washing machine's broken. There's water all over my floor. I can't go anywhere. So when there's an emergency, it's interesting how much time you can find and how usually nothing really gets pushed back that's that important. So it's looking at what is your distracted time. And then the second thing that you can point out when you look at your schedule is self-imposed and unnecessary extras. So self-imposed means self-imposed deadlines. So things that you're saying you have to do. So for example, I'm working with one of my friends and I'm doing a little masterclass for her membership. And that is a self-imposed deadline. I actually had to go back to her yesterday and say, hey, what's the deadline for this? Because I was working to my deadline, and my deadline said I should have stayed up last night and I should have been tired, but summoned my best and recorded all these videos for her and got her this content. And I don't know what her deadline is. It could be 6 months from now. So I had to ask, what is the deadline for this? Because what are you putting unnecessary pressure on this week that it doesn't need to be this week, because if you're already overwhelmed, adding more pressure is not helping you. And the other thing is unnecessary extras. So unnecessary extras are things that you've said that you'll do for someone, but it doesn't necessarily add to your life. It may support your relationship with that person, but maybe you've fallen into a bad habit of, maybe you're always picking up your sister's kids from school and you don't necessarily want to do that. And it's not because you're not a helpful person, it's because right now you're burned out and you're stressed, and the person that needs you is you. So instead of saying yes to all of these things, you can start to identify, okay, I need to start saying no to this. I need to have a difficult conversation. This is why people don't make it past hack one. I need to have a difficult conversation and say, I'm not going to do this anymore, or I can only do this X amount of times a week. Okay, so ask yourself, what have you taken on that isn't yours, that you no longer want to do or feel called to do or pulled to do? And the other thing is, where have you given yourself a crazy intense deadline where there doesn't need to be one? So these are things that you can point out from your schedule. And let's dive into hack two, because hack one is very full, I understand. But once you have done hack one, then this is a place where, a little bit like, Ron Weasley said in Harry Potter, she needs to sort out her priorities. This is where you get to say, these are my priorities, and get those things done first instead of just firefighting your way through life. Because I battled with this one so hard. I learned the 11 a.m. rule. And if you've never heard of it, essentially it means that before 11 a.m., then all of your time and energy that can be allocated towards something else. So if you've got kids and you have to get off to school, totally understand that, right? But essentially, before 11 a.m., when you're doing anything, it is to move the needle. Okay. So moving the needle activities can be things like recording your YouTube videos, or it can be things like creating a funnel, or it can be reach outs for your business. These are the things that you do on your own agenda, not on other people's agenda. On other people's agenda would be things like responding to your emails, would be things like responding to your social media, things like that. So pushing all of those things to later, because they will get done later, right? We feel like we have to do everything in like an hour in the morning so that we can relax for the rest of the day, especially when you're overwhelmed and you're feeling like burnout is coming in. Then we think that we have to have all these things done. But actually, if you reestablish your priorities, what are the needle moving activities and how can I do that first? Because typically we wake up in the morning, if you're a people pleaser, I totally understand, and we think the first instinct is, who needs me? Who needs me? Does my kids need me? I ask myself this, I'm like, does my husband need me? He very rarely needs me. Like, he wakes up and eats and writes. He does not need me in the morning. But, I instantly think, who needs me right now? Do my clients need me? Should I get back to them? Should I get back to their messages? That's really important because, they pay me money, so they need me. They don't need you. They don't need you. They benefit from having you around, but they don't need you in that moment. So instead of playing offense, like, let's play a little bit defense for a hot minute and just say, hey, I'm going to defend my time, because the person that needs you when you're overwhelmed, I mentioned it before, the person that needs you when you're overwhelmed is you. It's not everyone else. So this is to flip your day to give you more focus and more motivation, because you're doing what will really create the results first. So you're going to look at your schedule, you're going to look at your priorities. You may then want to reconfigure your schedule. And then hack three is when we're going to visualize the outcome. Because in order to make these changes, in order to make any change, you need something to motivate you. And I don't like to preach that pain pushes you. I like to work on the vision pulling you, because I lived in a world where the pain pushed me for so long. I don't have money. I need to make money. Get all these sales. I don't have money. I need to get money. Get all these sales. And it was like pain, 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 pain. Whereas now, if I think about, okay, well, the vision that's pulling me is, oh my gosh, how wonderful when I'm able to impact all these people's lives and I make money out of it, and we buy our house, and we can have more of a team so that they can support to do some of the other things that are going to be a little bit more challenging for me to do when I have more clients. So, oh my gosh, that vision, instead of, oh my gosh, I need desperation, It's very, very different. It's, oh, the vision can pull you instead of you just being in all this pain. Amazing. But to do that, we have to connect with it. And I do this with my one-to-one clients. And in a one-to-one setting, this is like chef's kiss perfect, because in a one-to-one session, it can be so bespoke to you. But I'm just going to give us all something for today that's going to support you just with the scheduling part of things. So you can do this with me. We're going to close our eyes. And this is the opposite of a meditation, okay? So I'm not going to ask you to focus on your breath. I am not going to ask you to relax. I'm actually going to ask you for so much energy. We want your body to almost be hot because your brain is going so fast. You're thinking so many thoughts. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I really need a snack. She's been talking for a really long time. You're going to be thinking, should I like open my eye to peek? You're going to also be thinking about probably 100 other things that are on your schedule to do right now. And you're like, oh gosh, I'm sitting here listening to this, and you want to beat yourself up. Like there's 100 things that are coming into your mind right now. So you're just going to let them and let them and let them. And they're going to rush. And then they're going to rush so fast that you're going to see colors and lights and shapes and things go out of coherent thought. And it's very confusing in this world because the thing is that vision loves momentum and it loves energy. So we're just going to let your brain's going to go, go, go. And then we're going to stop. And we're going to think about the outcome of you doing this work, because the outcome of you looking at your schedule and setting your priorities and doing this visualization is so that you are creating a life where you live on your own timeline. Your schedule is what you make it, not what anyone else is telling you you should do or you have to do. And overwhelm doesn't live here. Peace lives here. Oh my gosh, can you just take a moment to feel the feeling of peace? That's when you can just breathe in. Maybe you're just deciding you want to go for a walk in the middle of the day, or you're getting a hot beverage and you're cozying up on your couch with a good book because you can, because you create your life that way. Because you deserve this relaxation where you're not worrying about 100 other things that are going on. All you're focusing on is, gosh, this moment is so special. And I created this. This is true freedom when your schedule is yours. And you did this. And you can open your eyes. Oh my gosh. It always feels good to do just the shortest visualizations. Feels so good because in this moment, then you just think, wow, it's only a few steps until I have that. And the more that you do these kinds of visualizations, the easier they become. And the faster a highway you create in your brain with your neural pathways to get to that feeling of relaxation and peace, which you deserve, because overwhelm isn't fun. And you don't have to live there. Maybe you need a few systems in place. Maybe you're going to have to say a few uncomfortable no's. But it's in aid of you having this free life that you created. No one else is telling you what to do with your time or your energy. You get to choose. Oh, how wonderful. And before we end today, I like to end with a power question. And I want you to focus on that vision for a second again and just think, what can I take off my plate that doesn't serve this vision? What can I take off my plate that doesn't serve this vision? And it's up to you to take action now. And until next week, I will be over here believing in you and knowing that this freedom is waiting for you.